2, 1. Hi, good evening. Welcome. We are going to get started here in just a few minutes. We're going to do a 10-minute countdown. In the meantime, there's a little chat to my right, most likely. Engage in this chat. We would love to hear from you. Say hello. Maybe share a little bit about how camp and Heart of Hope has really changed your life, or you've seen it change others' lives. Or if you have a question, we are going to do a time of question and answer tonight. So please feel free to check it out, and we will be with you momentarily. So here is a countdown before we begin.
The kids are desperate and hungry for connection. They hang around us. They put their arms around us. But one kid ran his fingers through my hair while I was trying to help him. It's just they're hungry for attention.
What deep hurts these children and what longing they have for human touch, that they would come up to people they have never seen before and cling to you, begging almost with their eyes for you to love them.
The need is more than we really even understand. Any level of that kind of abandonment does so much to our brains, and from such a young age some of these kids have experienced that.
The Heart of Hope is continuously in Romania, providing programs for kids, checking out their conditions. We provide some of the basic necessities when they're not available in the placement system. We're running village Bible clubs so that we're reaching kids all over the countryside. Easter and Christmas, we're delivering food and goodies to kids and families. The summer camp program takes kids out of their city settings or their poor village setting, and they go to a wonderful camp that has, for many of them, better facilities than they live in, and they get an outdoor experience. They get to play soccer in the open air, and there's a creek, and there are bonfires. So we're touching kids in for not only their physical and emotional needs, but we're trying to reach them with the gospel as well.
Going to camp was a really different experience. Those kids come in with so much energy, and it's so different, I think, because you are with them an entire week.
Once you get there and see what she's doing with the camp, it gives them a hope. It gives them something that it's exciting, it's fun to do. We all loved camp when we were kids. These kids are no different.
You also have 5 days to teach them about a Savior who loves them more than anyone else and has never abandoned them, even though they feel abandoned, that He will never leave them. And it is amazing how you can watch their hearts just open.
The river runs by, and there's kind of a deeper inset where the kids can swim, and sometimes the kids were building a huge wall of rocks to like stop the water flow, and the other ones were like trying to swim down the stream. They don't really know how to swim, so they would just kind of like float on top and like flip each other with water or jump in, and you just see them light up and go crazy and really get to experience nature and fun, being carefree.
Well, we've seen numerous kids who have come to Christ as a result of the programs, and I believe that the reason why we're accepted in the placement centers for Christmas and Easter is because Heart of Hope meets physical and emotional needs of the kids, like the dental teams, like the vision team, the pediatric therapy. When we do that, the people who run the placement centers understand that we're not just there to push an agenda. We're not just there to say, okay, we want to evangelize your kids. We're there to provide a service that that meets a need that's currently not met, and because of that, we have entree into places that other Christian ministries don't.
So I'm a social worker. I work for Head Start in the preschool program. It was really Romania and that experience that set me up to put me on this life path, career path of serving others. And I remember the moment I realized it. We were at a center called the Sarah Center, and it was for more developmentally impaired children. And I remember being in a room with children who maybe had some form of autism on the spectrum somewhere, but they were, soothing themselves, rocking themselves, and not communicating a lot, and realizing their lives would be so different somewhere else. And then also going, I need to be somebody to come back and help these kids.
There have been some kids that I've seen who are unable to see more than about 4 inches in front of their faces. That means they can't see a board at school. It means they can't see a paper on a desk at a normal distance. I've had other kids who are so farsighted that they can't see anything clearly at any distance, and you put their glasses on and you get a great big smile and a twinkle in their eyes, and you've changed their life.
This organization brings their hurts to the surface. I believe Heart of Hope really will not let these children be forgotten. And that's what they do. They bring a voice of the hurt that these children are living with every single day. All I can do now is pray for them every day, remember them every day, that Christ will be able to heal some of their wounds and that they will be able to go forth in their life and do good.
Good evening. Just wanted to share with you some quick housekeeping things. First of all, we are glad that you're joining us, but all over the world. It is crazy the amount of people that are here, and I'm going to let Scott, who is going to really welcome us tonight, share more of that. But what I wanted to share with you real quick is that Gilda and Heather, right now, some of our board members, are on the chat with you. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, you most likely have this chat right here. You know, Dr. McClellan, he just pointed out, asking who this random person was. That was you, Doctor. So over here, some chat. I'm sure it's blowing up. I'm really glad to see a lot of you guys responding. And we are actually going to be looking at it all night long. We are live. We're in the flesh. We're here with you and not with you because social distancing. But we're here with you, and we want you to engage with us. Comment about how this ministry has changed your life or changed others that you've experienced. Ask us a question. We are going to do a time of questions and answers, and we are monitoring the chat to make sure that your questions are answered. We may not get to all of them tonight, but hopefully your question will be answered. With that in mind, I'm going to transition to Scott Packham, our chairman of the board, who is going to welcome us officially tonight. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Scott Packham, board chair for Heart of Hope, coming to you from Cameron Community Church, and I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight. I know it's kind of an unusual time for us. As you're all aware, it's been a different kind of year, and we're so disappointed that we can't gather with everybody in Portland and Camarillo like we usually do every fall. We always look forward to connecting with everybody face-to-face, all of you that support the ministry. But this does give us a chance to connect with some people who can't normally join us because they live too far away or for whatever reason. So tonight, we have supporters online not only from Romania, but also from many different states. We have people from North Carolina, Ohio, New Mexico, Montana, Seattle, all parts of California and Washington, and even somebody, I think, in Australia, from what I hear. So welcome to all of you, and I'm glad you can join us tonight. So we must remember this pandemic has not just been for us. You all know it's a worldwide pandemic, and Romania is no exception. The children involved in our ministry have essentially been confined to their state orphanages since April. The numbers were low at first, and then we actually thought we might be able to do summer camp this year, but the numbers increased, and we weren't able to do that, or any other ministries for that matter. So our goal tonight is to raise funds to provide a really, really nice Christmas gift for the kids in the state orphanages, and also for poor families in the vicinity, and also just for our expenses for our girls' home and other ministries that we do all year, because a lot of our funds raised every year come from these fall fundraisers that we're not able to do. So we're asking for your support that we can continue to do these ministries even now. So I'd like to share a verse from James 1:27, which I think is even more important today. It says, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless as this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." So thank you again for being with us tonight. Please welcome Heart of Hope President and my good friend Debbie Marshall, who's going to give you an update on the Ministries in Romania. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. When I first learned and thought about us not having a one-on-one, face-to-face fundraiser, I was so disappointed, because I look forward to that every year, seeing your face, seeing you, talking to you, And sometimes I just keep that encouragement with me all year as we work together in ministry. However, as Scott mentioned, it's really exciting to have some of the people be able to see our fundraiser who've never gotten to attend. And with that in mind, I've really tried to tailor the program for our friends who maybe haven't attended before, as well as some new folks. I want to start by giving you a history of how Heart of Hope came to be. And to give you that history, I have to tell you about the history of Romania, because you may not know. After World War II, Romania became a communist country for 49 years. Its last 29 years were ruled by a ruthless dictator, Ceausescu. What he wanted was to be a testament to the great success of communism, and he thought his way to do that would be to cull people from urban populations, from rural populations into urban populations. The only thing I can think of comparison-wise might be North Korea, where you have a very closed country where the West doesn't really know what's going on inside. The difference would be that in North Korea, they look at their weapons program as something shining to hold up. And Ceausescu wanted to look at factories and production to hold up as a testament to communism. And he thought he needed to increase the population, much different than the one-child policy we see in communist China. He said, no. I need to increase my population. I want families to have at least 5 children. And if you reach that magic number, you were eligible for things like lower taxes, apartments that had electricity or running water more than a few hours a day. The economy could not support it, and so you ended up with a lot of children in orphanages. And he said, I, the father, I'll take care of them. As a country, we don't need parents. The country, the government, can take care of them cradle to grave. But he couldn't keep his promise. The interesting thing about the revolution in Romania was that it was organic. It was from within. It wasn't a proxy war orchestrated by other countries or other policies. The Romanian people had had enough in 1989. Romanians I spoke to said they considered 1980 to 89 their long, dark decade. There was no outside media allowed, no printed materials, no radio from outside, no Bibles, no Christian literature, nothing. They didn't know what was going on outside of their border, and we really didn't know what was going on inside. When the revolution came, it came quickly. And as a revolution, think about this, a country of over 20 million people, less than 2,000 people died in that revolution. The military stood down. They would not come against the Romanian people. So on Christmas morning of December 89, there was a tribunal, and after that tribunal, Ceausescu and his wife were executed by firing squad. You can imagine if something like that happened in our world today, what kind of news that would make. And of course, there was no social media back then, nothing like that. So it took a while for news to get out. But once it did, Westerners could come in quickly, and the first things that they began reporting about were the humanitarian crisis that was there. And it's that humanitarian crisis that led me to Romania to adopt a child from there. I was successful in adopting a little baby who's now 30. It'll be 30 years this January that I made my first trip to Romania. It's hard to imagine. And what I want to encourage you with today is that when God asks you to do something, he's so gracious to not reveal the whole story. If I had known what was ahead of me, I doubt I would have gone. But he asked me to be faithful and adopt one child. And from that one adoption led Heart of Hope Ministries was born. Our ministry started in Romania simply to go back and minister to the children that were never going to get adopted. For 30 years, that's what we have done. We've taken humanitarian aid. with the thought in mind that the Dwight L. Moody said, wrap the gospel in a sandwich. So everything we do is to demonstrate the love of Christ, whether it's pure, direct distribution of humanitarian aid, our dental teams, our optometry teams, pediatric therapy teams, ministry teams, a camp program, all of it to share the love of Christ with those most in need. We know so clearly that easing of suffering has value, but the greatest value we can share is the love of Christ to guide and be with these children throughout their earthly life and eternity. In 2000, we, after having a decade of humanitarian aid and Bible studies within orphanages and things like that, we started Camp of the Good Shepherd. Camp of the Good Shepherd allows us to bring the children out of their institutions for an entire week of ministry. It's hard to describe how important and beautiful it is for those children. One of the most heartbreaking things for me this year was knowing not only were they confined in their institutions, but they wouldn't even have that little snippet, that little beautiful piece of their year this year. 2002, we began the Home of Hope Transition Home. That's a home for young women. It's a home when they finish the orphanage system, they've got somewhere to go to receive further education and training to prevent them from being trafficked or ending up in an abusive situation or not being able to take care of themselves. I'm so proud of that program. It only reaches maybe 8 to 10 women a year, but it is mighty. The young women that have graduated from college, that are living successful, independent lives now, that have families. We've been doing this long enough. I have girls that are having babies and children of their own now. In a little while, you're gonna see some of the young women that we currently have. I want to bring you up to date on this year. What's happened since I saw you last year at this time? Such a strange year. It seems a long time ago. For us as a Heart of Hope family, we started 2020 off with a personal crisis for our ministry. Our longtime camp director, Dawn, was killed in a tragic scooter accident. Dawn, as many of you know, was himself an orphan. He'd grown up in the orphanage in Boitsa. After he left the orphanage, he helped with some animals up the road from the camp. That's how we met him. And then he came to be part of our camp family, and he could relate to these kids. He knew them. He knew what it was like to grow up in an orphanage, and we lost him last February, just as we were preparing and getting ready for the pandemic. I'm a little bit of a news junkie, and my son is even more of a geopolitical person, and we watched carefully in January what was happening. So I had told our staff, get ready. Get as much supplies as you need, food, toilet paper, everything you need for us to be prepared and to weather out the pandemic. If we have extra left, we'll use it for camp. So they did. They got ready. But then we lost Dawn. After we lost Dawn, we had to find a replacement. And God provided us Vasily. Vasily also grew up in the orphanage system. He benefited all the years that he was in the system from Heart of Hope Ministry. He saw Dr. Scott Packham. In fact, he told me that was one of his first memories, was seeing Dr. Scott and his beautiful white teeth. He benefited from teams that came and repaired a playground and built them a playground. He benefited from the Christmas program, the Easter program, getting glasses, all kinds of things. As you know, we are very careful how we spend the funds. So the videos you're going to see tonight are ones we took on cell phones that my staff took. They're not professionally done, but I hope they touch your heart. And I'd like you now to meet Vasily at camp.
dear friends and family of Heart of Hope. Here we are at the Camp of the Good Shepherd, and I will introduce you, Vasile, our new camp administrator. He will share with us some things. Vasile, ce ți aduce aminte despre Debbie și echipele care veneau cu ea când erai copil?
Vasile, from your childhood, what do you remember about Debbie and the teams that used to come with her?
Mi-amintesc la centru de plasament Boița, când am fost micuț, echipa lui Debbie.
I remember Debbie and the teams from my childhood when they came to the placement center in Boița.
Era fratele Scat, care s-a ocupat de dantura mea,
There was also Scott that worked on my teeth,
iar la urmă de tot ne-a dat niște cadouri.
and after that we received some gifts.
După aceea, la centru de plasament Agnita, a venit Debbie cu o echipă de americani.
Later on at Agnita, Debbie came there with another team of Americans.
În care în acel program ne-a dat cadouri, dar ne-a spus și despre Dumnezeu.
They gave us some gifts as well, but they also talked with us about God.
Ok. Cum te-a influențat asta să vii să lucrezi la tabăra Păstorului cel Bun?
How did your experiences with Debbie influence you to come to work for the Camp of the Good Shepherd?
M-a influențat ca să fiu în această tabără faptul că știam când am fost aici micuț.
This camp influenced me to come here because I could remember from when I was a child.
Pentru că echipele de americani care erau aici în acel timp erau cu o prezență bucuroasă care mi-a transmitea și mie.
That the teams from America used to be very joyful, and I really enjoyed that feeling they gave us.
Și ne spunea și despre Dumnezeu, dar la urmă de tot ne dea și niște cadouri.
They were talking with us about God, but also gave us a few gifts.
Care sunt speranțele tale pentru misiunea taberei?
What are your hopes for the camp ministries?
Speranța mea este de a-mi forma o familie frumoasă.
My hope for myself is to get married.
Și al doilea rând este de a lucra în această tabără pentru sufletele care sunt nemântuite, dar și pentru cei care sunt în sistemele de protecție, așa cum am fost eu.
And second of all, I would like to keep on working for the camp, for the people that are coming here and the kids from the placement centers that wants to get to know God.
What I can tell you about Vasily is I love his enthusiasm. He was so excited for us to have camp this year that he began, as soon as he got to camp and became employed by us, cleaning everything. And he wanted to clean this, and he wanted to clean that, and he wanted to repaint the butane tanks. And he has taken it so seriously, and I'm so grateful for his service. We couldn't have camp this summer, but what were able to do was to rent the camp 2 times to smaller ministries because the group size could not be more than 20. And one of the organizations that came with a small group of children, after they left, she sent me a text and she said, "It's the cleanest I've seen camp in years." So I hope that encourages those of you that have donated to camp, even those of you that I know are watching that helped build our camp cabins or other things. It's in good hands. As March came and it became clear that there was a worldwide pandemic, I was scheduled to go to Romania on March 23rd. By then, all of our spring teams had canceled for obvious reasons, and then on March 20th, the flight bans came for American passports to go to Europe, so I was not able to go. Many of you have asked what has happened in Romania with COVID, so I want to give you some statistics, and I've written them down so I get them correctly. From the beginning of COVID until now, there have been 152,403 cases in a population of 19 million. There have been 5,358 deaths so far. Yesterday, October 9th, actually was the highest amount of new cases since the pandemic began. October 7th had 82 deaths, and that was the last statistic I've gotten. Currently, there are 613 patients in intensive care. So if you look at a population of 19 million, it's very low. Romania took on extensive measures at the beginning. In fact, way over the top measures in a way. Scott mentioned they locked down the orphanages, and even till now, they will not allow the children out. The attendants that work there have to stay 2 weeks at a time and then be tested, and then other attendants come in and are required to stay for 2 weeks, and that's been very difficult, as you can imagine, on the staff. Yesterday, President Johannes said that with increasing cases, they may, in certain areas, provide further restrictions. After the state of emergency back in March and May, they opened up and lessened some of the restrictions. And yesterday, he held a press conference and he said they will not do a countrywide lockdown again because it was just too devastating. It was too devastating to their economy. It was too devastating to other health crises, including mental health crises and other things. And he's promised the Romanian people he will not do a countrywide lockdown, that they will look at hotspots and take appropriate action. Romania was able to get a lot of PPE equipment into place. They were able to get ventilators enough. They've never had a hospital, they currently don't even have a hospital crisis. One of the good things about us in Sibiu is that that's where the president is from. In fact, I know the lady that cuts his wife's hair. So Sibiu in particular, we have everything we need. At the very beginning, those first few days, they weren't in place. And I want to let you know that dentists that had come from the States, and lots of times they'll leave like extra gloves, extra masks, those kinds of things, before Romania could get their PPE in place, we were able to give those to doctors. We were able to give those to families that we knew that had somebody at risk. And so we provided our leftover, sterile, clean masks and gloves to people in need. So I'm thankful for that. As it was clear that we could not do our typical Easter program, I asked our girls from Home of Hope to get Easter ready. So I sent a list, they bought everything, and they distributed it. They distributed along with the Easter gifts. Each month we would find out which center needed humanitarian aid. At least we could do those things and continue that kind of ministry. We could let the directors and the staff know, we're with you. We know this is hard. It's hard for everybody. But what can we do to bless you, to help you? Right now, I want you to watch a video from our young women at Home of Hope that I asked them to make. You're going to see the beautiful home that you all contributed to, that we were able to move into a year and a half ago, and then a little video of each of them.
Hello, dear friends. I want to welcome you to the Home of Hope. Please meet our guard dog, Jacko. Hello, Jacko. I will welcome you now to come up in our favorite room of the house, our kitchen. Here is where over meals takes place the most beautiful and intimate conversation, but also encouraging and growing moments. I want to introduce you our dear young women. Anita.
Hi.
She's in her master's program, and last month she got her first job as a teacher at a state kindergarten. Christina.
Hi.
She's in her second year at university, studying English, language, and literature. Rebecca.
Hi.
She is finishing her high school degree. Ildiko.
Hi.
Ildiko is in her last year studying human resources. And our new girl, Diana, is in her first year studying PE, physical education. Expecting a new girl from the placement center Elorlat, who will be with us soon. And we have another girl that for a couple of months was with us. She is now in Bucharest at the Teen Challenge program, rehabilitation program. She came to us under verses that Debbie can tell you more about. By God's help, we managed to get her into the program, but I don't exaggerate when I say that she was in real danger of dying. I will ask Christina now to share how difficult it was being locked during COVID.
I think it was hard for all of us, but for me it was the hardest because I'm the kind of person that is always outdoor and loves spending time in the nature, and being just in the house and always doing homework and all of these things just made me feel very sad and anxious about everything that is going around. But I was very thankful for being able to go to Lătioara sometimes for a break.
This year, together with the girls from the Home of Hope, we deliver Easter gifts and humanitarian aids to the placement centers. I will ask Anita now to share with us how the experience was and how we found the kids.
De fiecare dată am așteptat cu entuziasm.
Every time I was very excited to get to go to the kids.
Să pregătim cadourile pentru copii de Paști sau de Crăciun.
To prepare the gifts for the Christmas program or the Easter program.
Ne bucurăm că și anul acesta, chiar dacă a fost pandemia,
even though the circumstances was different this year, we are very happy that we got to meet the kids.
Am putut să le pregătim cadourile.
We were able to prepare the gifts for them.
Iar în momentul în care am fost să le ducem,
and when we went to give them the gifts,
a fost foarte greu.
It was very hard
și frustrant
and very frustrating.
Deoarece de fiecare dată așteptam ca să îmbrățișăm copiii, să îi întrebăm mai multe lucruri, să petrecem un pic de timp cu ei.
Because every time we were expecting to hug the kids and to spend a little time with them, to talk with them and so on.
Iar anul acesta nu am avut această oportunitate.
But this year we didn't have this opportunity.
Cum am zis, îi mulțumim lui Dumnezeu.
As I said, we are very thankful to God.
Că am putut măcar să le ducem lucruri.
That we were at least able to give them the gifts.
We are looking forward for Debbie and the team to come for the Christmas program. And if this won't happen, we will do our best to bring joy and hope to the kids. But we really hope it won't be the case. We are waiting you here. It was a very challenging and hard year. There were losses and a real fight for hope for people I closely work with. It was so hard and heartbreaking to walk in a beautiful but empty camp. Camp is a place that used to vibrate with the joy of the kids and the unique enthusiasm and American laughter. We long for those days to come again, and we wait for the time when you can be there with us. I want to thank each and every one for continuing to contribute to this beautiful home and ministry. We are really grateful for your help and your prayers. There were moments during the last months where the spiritual battle was so intense and so fierce. I want to especially take a moment to thank Debbie for her support, encouragement, and prayers. She was not here physically, but she was so very present. She was involved in every decision and move I made concerning Heart of Hope. We talked daily on the phone, and that lifted me up, helped me go on, and made me realize I am not alone. Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Heart of Hope, friends and family, for your support, for your effort, and for your heart for Romania.
I want to tell you a little bit about Rebecca, who you see now on the screen, I think, who is in blue. And Rebecca is our house manager at the Home of Hope. She was once a young woman in the Home of Hope. She's the baby of 11 children, and she came to us because her family could not afford for her to go to university. She graduated with her master's degree in languages, but more than that, a love of ministry and particularly a love of young women. And so I asked her to come to work for us last year, and she manages the girls' home. And this year, she has had to manage many other things in my absence. The girls you see right there are surrounding her are 6 of our young women, and Rebecca mentioned to you that today we had another young gal from the placement center at Orlat who they allowed out to visit us, and her paperwork will be in place for her to come to live at our home as well. We have another girl that Rebecca also mentioned, Diana, who is down at the Teen Challenge program in Bucharest. And as soon as we finish with our Zoom call with our girls, I will tell you her story. Girls, can you hear us? Yeah. Oh. And what you are studying. We'll start, Ildiko, you say.
I'm Ildiko and study human resources. HR.
Human resources, great.
That's all.
Rebecca, you can translate for maybe Raluca.
So I think she can say her name. And
my name is Raluca, and I finished this year dental technology.
I'm not sure how you translate that.
Dental technology, to become a dental technician.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rebecca.
Sunt Rebecca.
So she is Rebecca, and she is finishing her high school degree.
Yes.
I'm Diana, and
I'm studying physical education and sport. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Anita. I finished pedagogy, and now I'm in master program to continue pedagogy.
And I'm Christina. I study English and German literature. I'm in my second year.
And right now in Romania, it's about 5:40 in the morning. So we want to thank the girls for getting up so early to say hi to us. And I know that they would express their appreciation for the beautiful home that you've provided for them. Rebecca, do you want to say one last thing before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I want to, and I think the girls also want to all know how much we appreciate everything, the house, everything that you make happen. So thank you again for your support. Thank you for your love. And we are really waiting to see you again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Bye, girls. Thanks. They're also precious, and they each have a special and precious story of why they are with us. Rebecca mentioned to you that we have a girl that's down at the Teen Challenge program, and I want to tell you her story so that you know that when you send in a donation for Home of Hope, or just in general, where do those funds go? Where have they gone this year? Here's just one story of where they have gone. Deanna was a girl that was referred to us by a pastor from a small village. Deanna's mother was raised in a placement center, and when she got out of the placement center, she went back to a small village, found abusive relationship after relationship, and Deanna was the product of a rape. Her mother, who had mental health issues, held that against her her entire life. She did not protect her as she should have. From the age of 5 until the age of 12, Deanna was molested and raped on a regular basis. After 12, the man that the mother was allowing this from died. So Deanna thought that abuse would stop. But someone else came who pretended to be a friend to Deanna's mother and provided food because they had a lack of food often. And once again, that mother looked the other way. Deanna found solace at a church in a small village a few years ago. That was where she found her saving grace. From her childhood, she had many things to overcome. She had intelligence, unlike her mother, so she did well in school. She had a dream to become a nurse. So this pastor helped her to get into a nursing program, but then she would have no way to provide for her mom. No matter what abuse she had found, she still cared for her mother. It took a while for Deanna to be willing to leave her mother's side to try to better her own life. Last July, she made that step to move to the Home of Hope so that we could help her. We could help her continue her education. We could get her into counseling. I had her see a psychiatrist, a psychologist. And what we didn't know was that behind these years, about 4 or 5 years now, she had started a drug problem. And when I say a drug problem, I mean a serious drug problem. I'm talking about injectable drugs, heroin, ketamine. And she was good at hiding it from her mother and from the pastor. But once she got to a stable home and our house, where I'm very invasive with the girls, because I need to know all the time where they are, what they're doing, how's school going, we're on it. She could no longer hide her problem. So we came to a crisis with Deanna one day when she was really out of control. It was the day we found out, about her drug problem. And she was at the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist said, if you don't put her in the hospital right now, she'll probably be dead in the next 24 hours. She refused to go into the hospital's care. And from some of my own past experiences with both professionally and personally, I knew a line had to be drawn. So I gave her the ultimatum: you go to the hospital now, or we drive you back to your mother. She went to the hospital. She wanted to get out. She had to stay. She wanted to get out. She had to stay for 2 weeks. Several times the hospital called and said, she won't cooperate, just come get her, we're done, we don't care what happens to her. We found a place, and we're familiar with that, from the United States. They have an office in Bucharest, and we made contact with the director there. And they said, bring her for an interview. And if she comes on her own, we'll accept her into our program. We took her out of the hospital on a Friday night. We had an appointment set for Monday morning. She stayed at our Home of Hope. Saturday, Sunday, she had to drive by her village to say goodbye to her mom. We said that was okay. We'd even provide some food for her mom. When we got there, her mom was having a mental health crisis. Threw the food that Deanna had brought for her all over the road, began slapping and hitting, and Deanna didn't know what to do. Rebecca had to drive her away with her mom flailing about, threatening her, much abuse. And she went to Bucharest for the interview on Monday morning. Rebecca drove her Sunday night. First time she ever stayed in a hotel. We got her to the interview. And she flinched. She wasn't sure she could commit. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Again, a hard line. You stay or you go back and we move your things from Home of Hope and you're back with your mom. Hard decisions, because if we let her come back to Home of Hope, we don't have the program that can help her. I explained to her, if there was a girl having an appendicitis attack, I can't perform that surgery. With the issues you have, you must get this help. She finally chose. She has now been at the Teen Challenge program for more than a month, and she's been 4 weeks sober. It's a long program. It's a minimum of 9 months that she will be there. We will be supporting her there. It's $400 a month. If any of you have a compassion for people that have been in mental health crises, people that have been abused, young women that have had drug problems, if you want to sponsor her, you send your donation in for Home of Hope. Those of you that send your money in general, that gives us the freedom to do things like that. Scott mentioned that we are going to raise money tonight for the Christmas program. The Christmas program is, on one hand, it might seem, oh, it's just a Christmas gift. But if you look at it in the entire life of a child, with the connections that they see us coming this time of year, this time of year, this time of year. But at Christmas, it's so special. I wanted to take the opportunity tonight to show you some fruit. Sometimes you got to be in ministry a long time to see fruit, and the Lord is so gracious to show us so often the fruit that comes from Heart of Hope. You know, this year's been tough on so many, such a struggle for so many of you, for myself. And the verse that kept coming to me regarding tonight was out of Galatians 6:9. Let us not grow weary or become discouraged in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap if we do not give up. We didn't give up giving Easter. We didn't give up giving humanitarian aid, and we're not giving up giving Christmas gifts. There's a couple that I want you to meet. Georgie and Maria. They were in the system. Rarely do two kids who grew up in the system get married, but they did. They were in the system this entire time that Heart of Hope has been operating in Sibiu. One time, I'm not even sure Georgie knows this, the director called and said, I want Georgie, he's tall, and I think it'd be good for him to get on a basketball team, but he doesn't have basketball shoes. Can you buy him some basketball shoes? And I did. I went and bought them for him. Georgie and Maria benefited from every time that you've donated. Christmas, Easter. They saw Dr. McQuillan, they saw Dr. Packham, they saw Dr. Adlin, some other doctors. They came to camp every year, and they received Christmas packages. I want to show you two young people who came through the system. They were abandoned as babies, and they've made better choices for themselves. That's one of the things that we talk about at camp is whatever your past is, you can make a better choice for yourself. A lot of kids are hung up about why? Why was I abandoned? Where's my mom? And they go off. Vasily. As soon as he was an adult getting out of the system, he went to find his parents. It usually doesn't work out. If they haven't seen you in 18 years, probably not that concerned to see you now, but kids got to learn that on their own. Geetza and Maria have two little boys now. Geetza holds a full-time job. They're buying their own apartment in a program that the Romanian government has for first-time home buyers. And I asked Rebecca to go and ask them, what do they remember? What do they remember from years ago about the Christmas program? And the reason I wanted them to tell you is because the last 5 years, they have on their own saved money, asked friends of theirs if they would contribute so they themselves could go back to their own orphanage and give a Christmas gift like they received from us. Awesome. So I want you to see their video.
We are here at this beautiful family and we are going to hear from them some thoughts. Geetza și Maria, puteți să ne spuneți câteva lucruri ce vă aduceți aminte legat de Debbie și echipele de americani ce veneau la centru să ofere ajutor?
Can you tell us a few things about what you remember when Debbie and the team of volunteers used to come to the placement centers to give you a hand of help?
Cel mai frumos lucru de care mi-aduc aminte este faptul că de la Debbie și de la grupul cu care venea să ne ofere ajutor, noi am învățat despre Dumnezeu și cadourile care le-am primit ne-au ajutat foarte mult.
One thing that I remember very well about Debbie and the team that used to come with her is that they used to teach us about God, and that was very helpful for us, and we also enjoyed the gifts that we received.
În seara aceasta, în mod special, Debbie dorește să strângă fonduri pentru programul de Crăciun. Ce vă aduceți aminte legat de programul de Crăciun, poveștile ce se spuneau și cadourile? Cât de important credeți voi că este acest lucru pentru copiii din centru?
Especially tonight, Debbie is hoping to raise funds for the Gift of Hope Christmas program. What do you remember about the Christmas themes, the stories, and the gifts from Heart of Hope? How important do you think the Christmas gifts are for the kids?
Știu că o să pară amuzantă, dar de fiecare dată o așteptam pe Debbie, de Paști de Crăciun, parcă nu mai aveam răbdare. Abia așteptam să vină să putem cânta despre Dumnezeu și noi, cu ajutorul lui Debbie, am învățat despre Dumnezeu și cu echipa sa. Foarte mult ne bucuram când primeam acele pachete și, nu știu, ne bucuram că ne caută și pe noi cineva. Știm că nu avem pe nimeni, am văzut că ne caută ei.
Maybe it sounds funny, but what I remember is that we were looking forward to meet Debbie and the volunteers that used to come with her. And it was very important for us because we could see that somebody cares about us and that there is somebody that would like to spend time with us.
Ca și adulți, voi înși vă ați dorit să oferiți daruri de Crăciun în centrele unde ați fost. Cum a fost experiența asta pentru voi și pentru copii?
As adults, you yourself wanted to provide Christmas gifts for the placement centers. How has that experience been for you and the kids?
Faptul că noi am primit cadouri în centru, pe noi ne-a motivat să facem același lucru pentru copiii rămași de acolo. Și de câte ori mergem la ei, mergem cu inima frântă, pentru că noi știm că ei așteaptă cu nerăbdare acele cadouri.
The fact that we were growing in a placement center and that we received gifts and attention, we also wanted to give the same things for the kids because we wanted to give them the same joy that we used to feel. And every time we go there, our hearts are being broken because we know how important those little things are for them.
Ok. Ca și adulți, privind în urmă acum și de asemenea înțelegând din propria voastră experiență efortul financiar care este necesar ca acești copii să primească cadouri, care este mesajul vostru pentru americanii ce privesc acest video în seara aceasta?
Now looking back and also understanding yourself the effort it takes to financially provide, what message do you want to say to Americans seeing this video tonight?
Noi din experiența noastră, noi începem campania pornind din dorința noastră de a face bine acelor copii, dar nu este de ajuns și noi la rândul nostru avem nevoie de ajutor. Așa este și Debbie. Debbie vrea să ajute și noi o cunoaștem și știm că are o inimă mare și știm că este nevoie de ajutor pentru că nu sunt puțini. Noi mergem la mai puțini copii, dar Debbie merge și ajută și bucură mult mai mulți.
From our experiences, we understand how hard it is to raise funds for the Christmas gifts, and we know how hard it is for Debbie as well. We know she has a big heart and that she is willing to help, but she also needs support to make it happen. We help only a few kids and we see how hard it is, but Debbie is bringing happiness to a lot of kids.
Debbie, vreau să-ți mulțumesc din tot sufletul pentru tot ce ai făcut pentru noi, împreună cu echipa ta. Mulțumesc că tu ne-ai ajutat și ne-ai arătat să putem să-L cunoaștem pe Dumnezeu. Și, nu știu, ești un om binecuvântat de la Dumnezeu. Mulțumesc frumos!
I would like to thank you for helping us and for teaching us about God. And I have no words to describe my appreciation for you. And thank you for all the things that you did for us.
Debbie, vreau să-ți mulțumesc pentru faptul că nu ne-ai uitat niciodată și tot timpul te-ai gândit la noi. Vreau să-ți mulțumesc pentru faptul că ne-ai ajutat să înțelegem că noi nu suntem singuri și că avem un Tată în cer. Vreau să-ți mulțumesc pentru tabere, pentru că noi acolo ne-am simțit foarte bine și împreună cu echipele care au venit în România am învățat și ne-ați arătat ce înseamnă să trăiești într-o familie. Vă mulțumim frumos!
Debbie, I would like to thank you for showing us that there is a Father in heaven that loves us. Thank you for the camps that you used to bring us to, and thank you for making us feel good while being there and feeling loved. And we are also very thankful for the teams that used to come there as well, and for the fact that they taught us how to be in a family.
Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us tonight. It's so good to hear everything that's going on over in Romania. It's so good to see Georgia and Maria. I remember seeing them in camp when they were little, growing up, and it's so cool to hear their story over the year, and I was really looking forward to having them share that story with you. So that's really cool. So please support us. You can donate online. Below, there's a link in the description. There's a link where you can just click on and donate to Heart of Hope. You can also go to the website, heartofhope.org, directly later if you want. You can also send a check. The address is on the website also. So I just really want to thank you for the time. I know there's a lot of things going on, and it's just nice to have everyone sort of get together, and we really look forward to the time when we can actually see everybody face to face again. Thanks.
Yeah, I want to echo what Scott said. Thank you so much for taking your hour tonight, your time. I want to address the Christmas program. We have one question that said, how many placement centers are there? And there are 7 in our county and 1 in the county next door to us that we provide Christmas gifts for and humanitarian aid for. It averages out about 500 children in the centers, and then there are 125 families that are in a poor community, a marginalized and impoverished community. And sometimes those are just words we hear, the marginalized, the impoverished, but they are. And there's 125 families that we'll provide food baskets for based on your donations. And then the other question was, how many does the Home of Hope reach? So we have space and authorization for 8 young women. And like I said, they all have their unique story. We've got a couple of girls from placement centers and then girls from various families that could not provide for them. And some of our young women stay a short time, maybe a year. That's short for us. And other times they stay 3 years, 4 years if they're going through university and getting on their feet. And so, like I said at the beginning, it's one of my favorite programs. There's a book out there that it's not a Christian book, but the title of it is Half the Sky, and you'll have the most at benefiting a culture. And so I love the Home of Hope program because we've seen over the years, for many years, just the success that brings, even if it's just 8 women a year or so. Tonight, you volunteered in the 90s. You volunteered in the 2000s or 2010 till now, and I hope this night encourages you that all that you've given in the past, God is still blessing. Don't become weary in doing good, no matter the circumstances that surround us. So you can go on our website. That's the easiest way to make your donation tonight, and I hope it crashes because so many of you go on there at the same time. You can click on a gift for a child or for a family, or just in general. As Scott mentioned, we depend on you, and especially our fall fundraiser, and this is it, folks. And we just pray that we see you in person in 2021. Drew, come on up, Jilda, Heather, and let's have a toast for those of you that ordered one of our little Heart of Hope baskets. We just thought it would be something fun to encourage you, to encourage ourselves. And Drew, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, come on over. Okay, there we go. We can scoot over a little bit this way. Okay, we're good? We got it. There we go. All right, so here's a toast from all of us here at Gateway Church in Portland to you at home all over the world. A toast to what God is doing in the midst all of us. And hopefully, and we prayerfully, is changing the lives of these children in Romania. So here's to the Lord and to the children of Romania. Cheers. Do we clink? I think it's a clink moment. I want to say real quick, just a quick thank you to, I believe, Heather. You did all the gift baskets for the Oregon, Washington area and mailed them out. And then in Camarillo, I want to say thank you to Camarillo Community Church for putting that all together, including one of our board members, Josh McLean, and his wife. And I also want to give a thank you to Gateway Church here in Portland for hosting us tonight. And Debbie, something that stood out to me tonight that you shared, Galatians 6:9, it talks about not being weary for doing good. But Galatians 6:10 says, therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially those in the family of believers. And how awesome is it that we are a part of an organization where we get to become the family of believers with these kids. They don't have families, and they need us, and we get to participate. We're the home team. And hopefully you'll consider volunteering. We are hoping that that is a reality next summer. So come join us. Go down below. You'll see the link to the website. Let us close in prayer, and don't be weary for doing good. Father God, thank you for tonight. Thank you for Debbie. Thank you for her heart for this incredible ministry. Thank you for those who are at home watching and just reflecting on what you are doing, Lord. The dramatic changes over the last 30 years in Romania, the humanitarian crisis to the spiritual crisis. And God, often we think about the opportunities we have at home to serve and participate in ministry. But Lord, we have a unique opportunity as Americans to serve all over the world, to give resources because we have a lot, and to provide for a community that is in such desperate need of love and care. God, it is scarring to see the wounds of lack of nurture and love in a community. And God, we ask that we can be your hands and feet and do good as a family of believers to this community. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for the amazing team that put this together. Thank you for Josh and John, who are our tech team. And may you be lifted up and glorified in this presentation, Lord. Thank you for all of this. We love you, we love you, we love you. And God, may a child feel this love that you bring all the way around the world. Thank you for the girls. Thank you for their time this morning in Romania. It's in your Son's holy and precious name that we conclude this night. Amen.